Got it. So yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about is herbs and superfoods that mimic cannabinoids and why, these herbs on their own, what effect that they have, but then also these herbs combined with CBD and what effect that has on the endocannabinoid system.
Well, I will say this. We had a conversation, myself, Dr. Janice and Dr. Rachel, several years ago, and they were educating me on the importance of the endocannabinoid system and on the, I would say, cornucopia of botanicals that are producing results in the body for reasons and following mechanisms of action that I was unaware of. So I'd love to hear the two of your thoughts on how many of these powerful botanicals we're already using and recommending that are actually deriving some of their effects, if not the majority, through endocannabinoid stimulation.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fact, right? That's the reality, that these herbs and spices and foods and superfoods that especially functional medicine doctors have been talking about, but even before them, classical ancient Chinese medicine healers and Ayurvedic healers, a lot of the chemicals or phytochemicals from those botanicals are working directly on the endocannabinoid system or indirectly through other mechanisms. And phytochemicals in hemp and cannabis also work outside the endocannabinoid system on our serotonergic pathways and our mu-opiate pathways and GABAergic and glutamatergic pathways. And that's why sort of the full effect, I mean, you can get an entourage effect with hemp and other botanicals. You don't have to just get an entourage effect from a full spectrum product.
So we call the herbs and superfoods that mimic cannabinoids, we call that cannabimimetic, right? Mimetic meaning they mimic cannabinoids or the activity. So, black pepper contains the terpene beta-caryophyllene, and that's one that we talk about a lot because what's really cool about beta-caryophyllene is it's not just a terpene. It turns out it's also a cannabinoid because it does bind directly to the CB2 receptor. But we also know there are all of these other terpenes, linalool from lavender, pinene from pines, limonene from citrus. All of these terpenes act either directly or indirectly on our endocannabinoid system. And for that reason, we call them cannabimimetic because they're all affecting the way that our endocannabinoid system is running.
Yeah, and you mentioned beta-caryophyllene. Beta-caryophyllene is not unique to black pepper or cannabis. Right. It's one of the terpenes, sesquiterpenes, that are pretty ubiquitous to a lot of botanicals. We've co-evolved with that. And beta-caryophyllene, it binds directly with high affinity to that CB2 receptor, which is one of our immunomodulating receptors. CB2 is immunomodulating for the most part, and it works with CBD.
And I think if you're somebody who has not really heard of or utilized cannabinoids in your own life or in your patients' lives, you certainly have been using terpenes. If you are recommending botanical extracts, essential oils, almost every essential oil that is either distilled or derived from a CO2 extract has some level of terpenes. And in fact, many, such as frankincense and lavender, their main physiologically and biologically active constituents are terpenes. So terpenes are not new, but you can imagine when you look at the standard American who does not consume a phytonutrient-rich diet, not a lot of herbs, not a lot of spices or superfoods, even fruits and vegetables, doesn't use essential oils, and has been kept from using hemp, they are not getting exocannabinoids or stimulating or mimicking their endocannabinoid production, which is why so many individuals in America are struggling tremendously to experience optimal health, even at a young age. So I think this is really important information, but it is not something that you haven't been already utilizing. You just may not have been aware of it. So I think we need to be careful and not assume or treat hemp or cannabis and its phytochemicals as something that is completely foreign, where people are saying, well, what happens if I consume this? Is it safe? Is it effective? will it do XYZ? We have been consuming herbs and spices and recommending them, particularly those who are practicing integrative or functional medicine. Oregano, rosemary, we mentioned lavender, frankincense with its high amount of terpenes, ginger, etc. We've been recommending and consuming these for years. We've just been getting part of the story, not the entirety, which is why I mentioned that hemp or cannabis, CBD, it's not the end all be all, but it's a puzzle piece that for many individuals, for many doctors and their patients, could be a key missing piece to the entire health puzzle becoming complete.
I mean, it could be the ultimate superfood at this point. We haven't mentioned yet omegas, omega-6s and omega-3s. And with, the standard American low-fat diet, we're essentially devoid of this very much needed exogenous substances. Omega-3 and omega-6 are what we need to even make our own endocannabinoids. So you can imagine how our diets devoid of our omegas can contribute to what we call, endocannabinoid system dysfunction.